Good morning. All right, so I can see on Instagram that the gram is letting you all know that I have started a live video. So I'm going to take just a minute and wait for some folks to hop in and make sure that we've got a few people who are ready to hang out with me this morning. We're going to do a little pageant check-in. I can't wait to talk with you a little bit about, hey, where are you at? How are things going? And just kind of get a sense of, how's pageant preparation for you in March. We are in the midst of competition season across the nation, right? Everybody who is competitive in pageantry is getting ready for a pageant right now. Whether you are going to a state competition, you're getting ready to participate at the local level, or if you've already earned your title and now you are preparing to go on to perhaps a national competition. So, and hey, really, isn't it always pageant season? Isn't everything in life related somehow to what we do with our pageant preparation? So, functionally, even if you are taking a year off, it's still a great time to be thinking about pageant preparation. Am I right? So, all right, well, I was going to tell a quick story this morning while we waited to have folks come online. I am wearing some jewelry this morning that I pulled out of my Miss Washington jewelry box. Miss Washington, the Alumni Association, used to give Miss Washington every year a beautiful jewelry box, and there's a plaque on the top of it that would say Miss Washington, her year, and then her name. And it was the first jewelry box I was ever given. And so I also have the first pieces of jewelry that I was ever given. So a dear friend purchased this for me when I was 19 or 20. And then these earrings were sponsored by a local jewelry store in Lewis County, Washington. When I was crowned Miss Lewis County, this was part of the prize package. So anyway, just fun things. Don't we just love all of the wonderful sponsors who come alongside our organizations so that young women can be blessed with even more opportunities, and not only the opportunities, but the right pieces, right? In terms of wardrobe, in terms of jewelry. I just saw that Vanessa was at an event the other night, our current Miss Washington, and we're looking at partnering with some other organizations who do great wardrobe. And so I think it's wonderful the way that people come alongside this organization, the Miss America organization, but also other organizations for the benefit of women, right? Because that's why we're here. It's all about helping our women become the very best that they can be. And I came from a small town. I'm going to tell you, the smell of cow pie was still blowing in my hair when I went to Miss Washington for the first time. And so to be a young woman from a small town who came from little means, to be able to walk across a stage and compete for a $500 scholarship, a $1,200 scholarship, a $3,000 scholarship. Miss Grace Harbor last night gave away $5,000 to their new Miss Grace Harbor. That is a small rural community. I mean, what we do through pageant competition is so beneficial to women who would not otherwise have access or opportunity. So let's do a check-in to see how we're doing with your pageant prep at this point. Here we are, beginning of March, and what's happening for you. That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's cover our preparation plan. I've got a few notes here just to make sure I don't get off my talking points, because if I start telling stories, we're off track. And I've only got about 30 minutes to spend with you this morning. I always like to know how long the live's going to be, because I don't know if I can hang for the whole time. So I'm just letting you know about 30 minutes. We'll be off of here by about 10:40 because the Gray family has to go to church this morning. So Mama's got to get off the phone. All right, so we're going to cover preparation plan. Interview confidence. How are we coming with that? Are we feeling confident about our interview? Competition strategy. 3 things that we're going to talk about today, all right? So first of all, let's dig into preparation plan. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the phases of competition, all right? So depending on which system you're competing in, you should already know your phases of competition, and you should also know how those phases of competition are scored. This is important because it helps you strategize where you need to spend your time. And why is that important? Because there are certain things that you already know deep in your soul that you're good at this. Like, I've got that, like, I am fit, I've got a great swimsuit prepared, or I'm gonna look great in my cheer outfit from Rebel Fitness. I'm ready to compete in fitness. I don't need to spend a lot of time thinking about that. Or the scoring for interview is higher than another phase of competition. So I really need to make sure that my communication skills are solid. And we talk about communication skills in 3 areas in the work that I do with contestants. So first of all, we talk about interpersonal communication skills. Now, as a title holder, that is the ability to make another person feel like they are the only one in the room. Now, that requires great listening skills, which we train. And it requires the ability to focus on another individual while setting yourself aside. And we call that open and outward. That's from Don Baker back in the day. He was my coach, my mentor, and then I was a Don Baker associate for several years and taught Don's material and still use some of it today because, man, it is good common sense coaching and training, great education for the sake of communication skills, okay? So first, interpersonal skills. Secondly, you have to be excellent in your extemporaneous speaking. That's the ability to go out and speak without notes, off the cuff. That only comes with experience, which is why it's so important for us to be out in our community, engaging with other people, having the chance to be able to speak about our service initiative, to be able to speak about the organization that we are going to be representing. It means getting on the web and doing the socials and talking about the things that you are passionate about in a manner where you are not required to use note cards, because nobody wants to listen to a Miss Title holder who's giving a rehearsed or memorized speech or reading from note cards. They want to hear your passion. They want to hear your soul. They want to hear your confidence. So, interpersonal communication skills, extemporaneous speaking skills, and then the third area that we focus on in the training that I do with contestants is we look at your ability to speak and react to a question, right? A topic, conversationally. So we looked at this year with the Miss America competition. So if you watched the top 11 contestants, they were not given just a question. They were given a very broad topic and allowed to react off of that within the context of their own knowledge and experience. I loved it because that is exactly what we teach, and that is exactly what I do with contestants is we work on developing out their ability to be conversational on any topic. And those are where some of the key secrets are to having an outstanding interview and being truly prepared for interview, okay? So in terms of preparation plan, look at your phases of competition, how those are scored, and that will be the beginning of where you need to focus your time management and having an understanding of where are my vulnerabilities and where are my strengths. So I need to invest a little bit more of my time in the areas where I'm most vulnerable. Okay, so in terms of planning, that would be step one. All right, secondly, let's think about your assets. All right, so we are going to build out from there. Now, if you have some maturity, now maturity comes with experience, it comes with age, but some women are just inherently mature. Am I right? Like, we have met some 13-year-olds that are some old souls. You know what I mean? All right, so if you are coming in with a dash of maturity, it's likely that there are not a lot of things that are kind of setting you back on your heels with this. You're feeling pretty confident because there's just an ability to sort of handle things and be able to run with it. In addition, you may have some other experiences. I know that one of my assets when I was preparing for competition is I was a dancer. So I was comfortable being on stage. Like, it didn't bother me to be on a darkened stage or looking out into a darkened audience from stage. Like, I didn't have any trouble with that. What I did have trouble with was I was pretty reserved. And so I'll tell you a quick story. I started my first job when I was 16, was working at a retirement community. Now, before that, I hadn't been in any kind of leadership role. I had not had any speaking engagements. I was a dancer. We didn't talk. We just emoted. So I did not have really strong communication skills or speaking skills, and I started working at this retirement community, and I was responsible for helping serve dinner every evening to 80 residents in this dining room, and I loved it. But my first night, we would push out this cart that had the salad offerings for the evening, and I was sort of this timid little 16-year-old, and I walked up to my first table, and the residents are waiting for me to tell them what the salad options are for the evening, and I say, well, tonight we have, and I'm kind of mumbling, I'm kind of talking into myself, and this woman who's sitting at the table, she looks at me and she goes, honey, if you're gonna work here, you're gonna have to speak up, because we're all deaf. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to bring it up a notch. And you know what? Working at Woodland Estates Retirement Center in Chehalis for 4.5 years was the best thing that ever could have happened to me. It also gave me my service initiative, and it really helped draw me out of my shell. And so I'm really grateful for that. So know what your assets are. Like, what are you already bringing to this experience that you're good at? Let's capitalize on those things. And that also goes to knowing yourself. What makes you unique? What makes you different? What sets you apart? Now, you may look at yourself. I was just talking to a woman yesterday, and she was saying, there's nothing really, I don't have really a story. There's nothing really interesting about my life. We were actually talking about, we were considering maybe doing a her story. And she was like, I don't have anything really big in my, and I'm like, you need to go ask 3 people around you what makes you unique and different. And you need to video record what they say, because you do. You have things about you that are unique and interesting. And while you've lived your life, you don't think they're particularly interesting, but somebody else would, and a judge may find it incredibly compelling. And I want you to start looking at those things for yourself and acknowledging them. So go ask 3 people if you think, I don't know what, and those are part of your assets, okay? And we're gonna capitalize those. We wanna bring 3 things. Get 3 people to tell you 3 things about you that set you apart, and those are going to be your themes that you will capitalize on during the course of your interview. Know your assets, okay? Part of your plan. All right, moving on. Let's talk about time blocking. This is one of my favorite things to do. It's how I live my life, is by time blocking. Okay, so interview, on-stage question, and your service initiative. Put those in your schedule for the week. I'm going to work on this as a category, right? Because those 3 work hand in hand, because they have to do with your communication skills, all right? Find time in your schedule weekly, block out time to work those 3 together. Interview, on-stage question, and service initiative, okay? So if you're going out and you're doing your service initiative and you're making an appearance for that, make sure you're going around and talking to people. Look for an opportunity to speak, to promote your service initiative. That way, later that week, when you're thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't work on an interview at all this week, you did, because your service initiative is going to be part of your interview, and it is going to be part of your on-stage question, most likely, okay? So that way you feel like, oh yeah, I did work interview this week. I made an appearance and I was there for 2.5 hours. And so that was 2.5 hours worth of work toward interview competition, okay, as well as on stage. All right. Secondly, fitness and swimsuit. All right. I know that in these phases of competition, there's a lot of back and forth about what's healthy and what's unhealthy. And so I'm just going to challenge you. Miss America and Miss USA and Miss Universe and Mrs. title holders are all expected to be able to bring their best when they show up. Now, their best looks like a healthy mind, healthy spiritually, healthy body, okay? So when we are looking at going into competition and we're talking about fitness, there is no argument about what fit and healthy is like for you. So we need to be thinking about, my dear, bringing your best you to the competition. So what does that look like? Is there anything, assess for yourself, is there anything that you're doing right now that is not serving you in this area? Where are you detracting for yourself from the ability to bring your best so that you can receive your best scoring in this phase of competition? So maybe it's nutritionally, maybe it's in terms of getting outside and getting some fresh air, maybe it's in terms of not having enough lax time in your schedule so you have that time for mental health, for relaxing, journaling, breathing, meditating, whatever it is that you need. And then we all know that physical exercise of any kind for 15 to 20 minutes a day, especially getting that heart rate up, go red for women, we need to be active. Because Miss Title Holder or Mrs. Title Holder is not out there doing things that are unhealthy to her body or to her mental, physical, emotional health. So challenge yourself in this season to bring your best to this area of competition. Fitness and swimsuit will not lose the will not win the competition for you because they're not scored high enough typically, but they could lose it for you. Because if you're top in every other category, but you're 10th in fitness, somebody else just took the title. So bring your best, okay? All right, challenge yourself. That's what I always try to do. See how clean can I eat? How healthy can I be? You know, what's one thing that I can change? You know, maybe no French fries for the next 6 months. I mean, you know, things like that. And then it's, you know, anyway, I could tell stories. I'll stop myself. Or we won't get done in time. Okay, let's see. Next, we want to talk about gown. So presence, mindset, walk, and wardrobe selection. So let me touch on each of those quickly. So if we're talking about gown, this is true for fitness too. Don Baker always said it's one from the neck up. Now, why is that? Because if you bring a bunch of women to competition who are all equitable in terms of how they carry themselves, the gown selection, the fitness level, all of that. They've all done all the same work that you've done, dear. And so now what is it that's going to set you apart? It's going to be your presence. And presence is directly tied to your mindset. It's all attitudinal. And so we go deeper into that in the coaching that I do with contestants through workshops and one-on-one. And mindset directly affects the presence, the walk, posture, stature, carriage that you bring to the stage. Further, you've got to learn how to walk. There is something unique about pageantry that requires, because it's on stage, you to learn how to carry your body with grace. In heels, in sneakers, whatever the case may be, we need to be developing our walk. So get yourself in front of a mirror, get those shoes on, do your walk through the grocery aisles. That's where I used to practice. Just like that. That's one of my favorite scenes from the movie Sing, when the little mama pig is pushing the cart and she's dancing. Oh, anyway, love that. So grocery store, that's where we do some of our... All right. And then with regard to our wardrobe selection, I just want to say one thing about this. Pageant is unique because it's pageant. And so we need to kind of honor that. So do your research in terms of looking at what looks good on stage, what looks good in terms of cut and color. Is something more fitted or something more loose right for you? And if you don't have someone right now that you can look to for some tips or some advice in terms of wardrobing, look to a local, look to a state organization, look to a former title holder. You don't know how we love to be asked our opinions. Us former title holders are just dying for you to ask us what we think. And we can help. We can help with some guidance and some encouragement and a bit of mentoring. And if you don't have you don't have to spend money on coaching. I do charge a fee for coaching, but that's why we're here today, is because I love you. And I just want to share my heart with you. And I want you to have all the success that you can through this thing that we call pageant. And so if you don't have a lot of resources financially, maybe you could find someone who would sponsor you some coaching, or you can find yourself a mentor by looking for people who've been involved in the past. And we love to give back. We do. All right, so don't hesitate to ask, okay? And then also, I just want to say, when it comes to wardrobing, one of the things that judges are looking for is as they judge a contestant on stage, they want to feel comfortable that if they sent you out in the community, that you would know what was appropriate, right? So if they're going to send you out as Miss Title Holder and you're making an appearance, will you show up? Can we trust that your sense of styling is going to be appropriate for what the job responsibilities are associated with the title? So just think about that with a little bit of, maturity and a little bit of respect. Some women do have a unique flair and style, and they want to bring that out through their wardrobe, and that's awesome. I think that you should do that. I also think that we do need to be thoughtful about the fact that this is a pageant, and some pageant roles have job responsibilities affiliated with their title, and therefore we need to be thoughtful from a professional perspective about what we would or would not wear in that professional role. Yeah? Okay, I'll leave that at that. And then finally, with regard to talent selection, we're talking again about time blocking here. Got to make sure if your system requires talent competition as one of the phases, then we want to make sure that we are honing that talent from the perspective of its ability to entertain, right? So be working on that talent and bringing your personality. I was so afraid to bring my personality into my talent because I was a point dancer. I was a pretty little ballerina, and I didn't feel comfortable initially when I was younger. I didn't have the maturity to bring my personality to my talent, and it wasn't until the second time I went back to compete at Miss Washington that I made some decisions that really allowed my personality to shine on stage, and I'm so glad that I did, because I felt like I was having more fun, and I also felt like I was more entertaining. So don't get so caught up in technical skill that it causes you to feel nervous or anxious before you step out on that stage. Bring something to the stage that you are comfortable with from its ability to entertain. That's why we have a Miss America who did cups, right? She was entertaining and she was relatable. Love that. If you haven't seen that performance, you should look it up. It's great. Okay, moving on. Okay, so in terms of our preparation plan, we talked about phases of competition and scoring, considering your strengths and vulnerabilities. We've talked about time blocking in your schedule, making sure that you're spending the time on the right things. And then finally, I just want to acknowledge that it takes a significant effort to grow. This is not going to be an easy process. And if you signed up for Pageant and thought, oh, I want to win a crown. Well, if your title that you are pursuing has job responsibilities affiliated with it, and you are looking to step into that professional job, it's going to require a lot of you. It's going to require your leadership, and it's going to require that you're coachable, and it's going to challenge you, and it's going to be hard on some days, and you're not going to want to do it. Just ask any former title holder, right? It's just hard work. I'm sorry, I have a hair stuck to my face and it's bugging me. All right, so anyway, it takes a lot of work to make a measurable gain over time, but you can bring the consistencies, and that's what I would encourage you to do. Continue showing up, continue to be consistent, work in the areas that you know are your areas of challenge, continue to grow and develop, but it does take effort, so keep your focus. There's a reason that we're doing this, and it's for our own personal and professional growth, and it will serve you for the rest of your life. All right, moving on from there, let's talk about interview confidence. Here we go. Okay, so first of all, I would encourage you, if you're not already doing this, to begin absorbing news from a variety of different outlets. Okay, so if you have your favorites, that's awesome. Be getting your news and information from those outlets, but it's important that our title holders, when they step inside an interview room or when they go out into the community and make appearances, We don't want any dumb bunnies. We want to make sure that you are well-read and that you are well-spoken. And so how do we do that? How do we know that you have a solid awareness of what's going on in the world around you? Well, first of all, you can get media from anywhere these days. So you have no excuses, sister. You should be absorbing what's going on in the world around you on a regular and consistent basis. So first of all, though, I want to challenge you, don't just listen to the stuff that you're comfortable with. You've got to know both sides, right? Because Miss Title Holder is typically apolitical. All right. So we are not watching Miss America go around and make any kind of politically minded personal statements during her year of service. Her job is to unify, not divide. So I'm just going to say that as you prepare, make sure that you have an understanding of, well, I feel this way, but I understand why other people may feel this way. But this is where I stand on this particular issue. Or this is, and again, when it comes to interview portion of competition, and again, I work this extensively with the women that I coach, we make sure that you are comfortable answering even the difficult interview question. Okay, so let's go there for just a minute. A lot of contestants get caught up and come to me with like, what do I do if they ask me a question I don't know the answer to? Or what do I do if they ask me when it's like really hard and really controversial? Well, it's really controversial because it's uncomfortable. Because either people don't like talking about it or because it's really a politicized topic and we just don't really feel comfortable going one way or the other with it because it creates controversy. And again, you're not expected to be controversial. You're just expected to be able to speak to your own personal knowledge, values, and experience. And the judges are only interested in how well you can articulate that. And they're not going to ask you something that you don't know anything about. You know something about everything if you're doing your job. If you are doing the hard work of developing yourself by becoming well-read, familiar, aware of what's going on in the world around you. You pick up the morning paper, or these days online, right? And you just look at the headlines of the day. You have an awareness of what's going on. There's nothing that you can't answer. Now, if a judge asks you a question that's very pointed and very specific about something, there's a lot of ways to say, I don't know. And we get into that in our coaching. And you don't have to say, I don't know with some kind of shame or self-degradation because you don't know about that thing. Like, I mean, when I was competing, I didn't know what our state bird was. But there's lots of ways to say, I don't know. I know what our national bird is. So, I mean, you could say, well, I don't know what the state bird of Washington is, goldfinch. But I know what our national bird is, and that's the American eagle. And then the judges can laugh and they can continue to enjoy you because there's nothing that you can't speak to if you've given yourself permission to allow your own personality, your own unique flavor and flair to come out inside of that interview room and during that on-stage question. All right. And we work on getting over those nerves, right? And I got to hear a wonderful speaker at Miss America this year at the Breakfast of Champions. Her name's Dale Smith Thomas. And she had a wonderful saying. She said, I'm not stressed. I'm blessed. I'm not nervous. I'm energized. Those are the kinds of mindset mantras that we need to be carrying with us when we step inside the interview room and when we go on stage. Okay, moving on. So interview confidence. We also teach in the work that I do with contestants, concise and tight thought organization because 10 minutes is no time. It's no time to get to know you. There's no time to ramble on and on trying to figure out what it is that you want to say. What am I trying to say? Where am I going with this? We don't have time for that. Same with on-stage question. So we need to make sure that we have learned how to bring tight and concise thought organization with solid content into our answers and our responses. And then now we've got a conversation happening with the judges. Now we're interesting. Now we're engaging. Now they can't wait to ask the next question. I mean, you're just giving them so much to be able to work with, and you're quick on your feet, and you're thoughtful, and they can see right where you're going. And now we've got ourselves a dynamic interview with a woman who has a commanding presence. Her leadership is fully asserted because she's well read. She knows what's going on in the world around her. She's not afraid to tell stories about her life and on herself. And we're having a good time inside that interview room, right? Okay. Finally, onstage question and developing out your service initiative speech for appearances. So I'm just going to give you a quick tip here, okay? So typically when I work with contestants regarding service initiative, the 3 things that we need to hear as audience members. First, we need to know what the problem is that you're trying to solve. And if I get lost in what your platform title is or what it is that you're trying to do and it doesn't make sense to me, like what is she doing? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? I need clarity about that. Secondly, I need to know if this is really a problem, give me some proof. Like show me where I can see this showing up in society. I need to know the negative impacts. Where is this negative impacting people or the world or the environment? Like give me some examples, okay? So the negative impacts. And then finally, what's the resolution? How do I fix this problem? How are you going to fix this problem? And remember, you're one person. You're not going to fix this problem, right? You're going to advocate and you're going to educate. That's your job as Miss Title Holder, okay? We are not going to change the world in 365 days while you have this title and this microphone through this title, okay? So we need to be able to look to other organizations that can help us resolve this, that are already working toward resolving this. We need to link arms with them, and that's only going to bring more power and more authenticity to what it is that you're doing. All right, so that's interview confidence. Okay, the third thing I promised we'd talk about today, I'm running out of time here, is competition strategy. All right, we are talking about a competition here, and every good competitor comes in with some strategy, right? So let's talk for just a minute. First of all, why are you competing? The judges are going to want to know. And they may not ask you that directly, but they will ask you indirectly. And there will be something about your presentation that will help us understand why you're competing. You will communicate that to us non-verbally. So let's journal that out a little bit. Let's talk that through a little bit with a trusted inner circle person and make sure that we really understand why am I doing this? Am I just doing this because I love the sisterhood? Or am I doing this because I really want the job? Or am I doing this because my service initiative deserves a microphone? Why are you competing? Okay, you need to clearly be able to articulate that for yourself. All right. Secondly, what do you want to use the stage for? What is it? Some women use the stage for healing because they've gone through some stuff and this is therapeutic for them to compete and bring this to the stage. Some women use the stage to make a statement. Maybe their service initiative is the statement that they want to make. Some women use the stage for practice. They're not ready to be Miss Title Holder yet. They're there to practice. So what do you want to use the stage for as you come into competition? Know that for yourself. And why do you want to win the title? Why do you want to win the title? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, do you just want to win the title because you just want a crown? You want to win just because you want the scholarship? Well, there's 10 other girls on stage who want both those same things. So what is it for you? What if you do want to win, and not everybody wants to. Like I went to the Miss USA competition. I was there for 5 minutes. I was like, I didn't want to be Miss USA. I'm here for the experience. So there's why are you here? Why are you here, and why do you want to win the title? And it's okay if you don't want to win the title. There's plenty that we can take away from the pageant journey without ever winning a title. Our darling Miss Seattle 2023, Miss JJ Brown, just said so poignantly as she left the stage for the very last time. She said, one of the things that you gain from competing in this is learning how to fail with grace. And I just thought, yes, absolutely. Go JJ. I love that girl. Okay, that woman, for crying out loud, I met her for the first time when she was 14. I can't believe she's 28 years old. I love her. I just love her. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so next, let's see. Protect your mental health. Okay, again, this has to do with competition strategy. That's where I was. Protect your mental health. That means choose your inner circle wisely. You don't need, everybody is going to have an opinion as you go through this process. And sometimes the people who put themselves in your inner circle are not the people you want in your inner circle. And it's okay to sort of dismiss those people from the inner circle. And you get to choose who are the ones that you have around you. When I was competing for Miss Washington the second time around, I had the most amazing inner circle, and some of them I chose and some of them chose me, and I'm so glad they did. And I just remember one time being in the elevator and I had most of my inner circle right there. And I will tell you, at that point in time, because of my age, where I was living, and my professional career at that point, my parents weren't in my inner circle. They were my supporters, but they were not in the inner circle. And that was fine. That was fine in that season of my life. And I just remember they were all in the elevator with me, and we were going, it was after, I think, visitation maybe. And they rode the elevator with me up to my floor, and they prayed over me. They laid hands on me. They were offering encouragement all around me. They were speaking words that I was just, choose your inner circle wisely, okay? Part of your important mental health, all right? You don't need advice or feedback from everybody. What you need is actionable tips. If you have somebody come to you and say, I don't like your evening gown, well, that's an opinion, and it's not helpful because it's not actionable. And if you've already spent your wardrobe budget on that gown, it doesn't really matter if they like it or not. What matters is the woman in the gown, not the gown itself, all right? That's what's going to win the pageant, the woman, not the gown. Okay, so actionable tips. If someone wants to give you feedback, you allow it, but only if it's actionable and helpful. The rest of it, you don't need. Okay, all right. Brianne said so. Okay, next, in terms of competition strategy, if you're from Washington, you've heard this before. Flexible and gracious. We are flexible and gracious. Let's not forget that this is a volunteer organization, okay? At least at the Miss America, with the Miss America opportunity. And for any competition that you're in, most likely there are going to be people around you while you're competing who are giving their time, which is their most valuable asset and their most valuable resource. So do not squander that by being arrogant, difficult, demanding, self-absorbed. Be flexible and gracious, because that's who we expect our Miss America to be, our Miss USA, our Mrs. title holders with their maturity. We expect flexibility and graciousness, a woman who can handle anything that comes her way and not lose it. That's what we're looking for, right? Okay, that's the expectation. So again, in terms of strategy, flexible and gracious, don't burn bridges. Focus on the sisterhood. Don't miss out on the opportunities by having the wrong attitude. Honor the volunteers. Okay? All right, and then finally, keep it fun. All right, I'm just going to say, if we're not having fun doing pageant, I don't know why we're doing it in the first place. This should be fun. Relax when you get to competition. Enjoy the work that you've done. Don't hold back. Bring it all with you and then leave it all on the stage, but have some fun while you're doing it. If we're not having fun, we should not be participating in pageant because it won't be good for your mental health. I promise you that. It is a stressful environment, and when we get there, we should be able to just relax and have some fun with it. And again, that means engaging the sisterhood, engaging the volunteers, the sponsors, all of the events that you get to go to. Enjoy. It's your party, right? The competition itself is your party. It is the culmination, the graduation. It's all of the work that you've done. Now's the time. Now's the time. Let loose and enjoy it. All right. Okay. So there we go. I said I might do some questions, but because I talked too long, I'm going to skip questions, and I'm just going to jump in with one quick thing in the last couple minutes here because I have a special opportunity that I wanted to tell you about today. So if you have enjoyed our chat this morning and you're looking to go deeper, learn more, if you're looking for a resource, some additional education, first of all, you can go to my website, brianneperriott.com, and sign up for my newsletter. All right. And then I will make sure that anything that I'm putting out, you get to know about right away, and I'll send you some monthly tips. Okay. Secondly, I am opening registration today for my next workshop. So we're doing another pageant success workshop, and I'm going to host that live on Zoom here in March. So it's going to be a two-parter. So it's 3 hours of new content. I just did a workshop back in November, and that was about pageant success. We talked about communication skills, presence, and mindset. And this time I've got all new content for you, okay? So on Friday, March 15th, we'll be starting in the evening live via Zoom at 6 p.m. All right, and then on Saturday morning, we'll continue for another 90 minutes at 10 a.m. in the morning. Again, both times will be live via Zoom because I think there's so much more value in a live workshop, all right? And the registration fee for the workshop is going to be $149, and that's for 3 hours of content, 3 hours of coaching, education, and training for you to help you in this season right now as we're getting ready to move into our competition. So I just want to say, if you're busy on March 15th and 16th, or if you're busy the Friday evening, but you're available Saturday morning, register anyway. Okay, register anyway, because even if you can only make it to one part, or if you need to come to part of it or head out early or show up late, I'll let you in. You can come on Zoom with me, even if you're, I'm not going to shame you for being late. I know you're busy. I know you've got a million things going on. But here's the thing. If you would like to access any of this teaching live at any point during the weekend, Friday, March 15th, Saturday, March 16th, I will make sure that you get a copy of the video, okay? So that you can watch it at your own leisure and at your own time. Now, obviously, the beauty of being live is that you have the potential for personalized coaching. I always try and make room for that. We do spotlights during my coaching where I actually get with contestants live in the moment. And we do, if you want to be, raise your hand and be one of those, then you get to be called out. And in front of the whole group, you get a little bit of personalized coaching. Plus you're in on all the inside jokes that we do during our coaching time. And so the live is awesome, but if you can't attend both sessions or you can't be present for the entire time for both sessions, I will make sure that you get a copy of the recording. Okay, so sign up anyway, register anyway, even if you can't be there the whole time. So what are we going to talk about? All right, so this workshop is titled Empower Her. Empower Her, all right? So we are going to discuss mastering influence, right? We have huge influence these days, ladies. Social media has opened a door for us where we have voices that can be heard around the world. The coolest thing that was not available when I was a contestant. Okay, so mastering influence, okay? Strategy for competition. My little thing keeps going like this every time I put my thumb up. And then third, we're going to talk about personal growth. Because if you are only, I'm going to say this because it gets on my nerves, if you're only preparing for competition and the only thing you're doing is you're focusing on the phases of competition, what I'm going to get scored on, you are missing out on what it means to become Miss Title Holder. If your focus is only on the crown, your focus is in the wrong place. We need to focus above the pageant and use the pageant as our vehicle. Personal growth is key as we prepare for pageant competition, because if you're not preparing through personal growth and professional development, you're not ready for the job. You're not ready to be Miss Title Holder. You're only prepared to do phases of competition, and the judges will see through it. They will see through it. Okay, so that's why we're going to talk about mastering influence, strategy, and personal growth. Empower her. All right. So if you want to get in on this, we're going to DM me first of all, and I will make sure that I get you a link. The link is also in my bio if you'd just rather jump right on it right away. But with this 3 new hours of pageant preparation and mentoring I've got for you, we're going to talk about influence, which is creating your business plan and your marketing plan for your year. Second, we're going to talk about strategy, how to conduct ourselves inside the competitive environment. And finally, we will talk about personal growth. So again, that goes to mental health, how to keep a healthy mindset while we're inside of competition, remaining calm under pressure, tips for avoiding comparison and competing as your best self, because most of the time competition can last for multiple days, even a week, and it's hard on you. It is hard on you mentally, right? We're going to talk about physical health and fitness. We're going to talk about walk and posture, and of course we'll talk about interview, and specifically something I didn't get to the last workshop that I did. We'll talk about opening and closing statements, because that's important. That's how you open and how you close, and man, we want to open with a great impression and we want to leave the judges with a great impression. So we'll talk about those as well. My goal in offering these workshops, if you are a seasoned contestant, if you have competed before, I know that you want to be as prepared as possible the next time you go back to competition. That's my goal for you too. All right. Now, if you're new to this, right, this is maybe you're getting ready for your first local, or maybe you're an open contestant, you've paid for a local title, and now you're getting ready to go to your state competition. I understand that maybe you're not feeling super confident in any aspect or every aspect of preparation. And so I'm here to help. I can help with interview tips. I can help with your preparation plan. And so I would encourage you to join me for the workshop so that I can offer you a little bit of that little edge, and also kind of calm some of that sense of overwhelm or like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just signed up and now what? So let's work together. Let's work together. And then if you are already a title holder who is getting ready to compete at state or at a national level, I know you want to be ready. I know you want to be ready. And maybe you just want to check in and see, like, am I on the right path? And have I dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's? And we'll look into that too, okay? So I promise you, whatever level you're at, I'll bring something for you. I'll make sure there's something in the workshop for you, okay? Now, I do have a special offer. If you've hung with me this whole time, I have a special offer for you. Okay, so for the workshop, I always like to have 10 ladies signed up in advance who I call my special 10, and they're my feedback team. So I'm still working on the content that I'm going to present, and I want to make sure that it brings the best information that you need right now. So you are my sounding board, and you are my team to help inform the content. So I would love to have my 10 sign up early, and if you will DM me special 10, I want in the first 10 women that I get that message from, I will sign you up for a 50% savings. So instead of paying the $149 entry fee, for you it's $74. So if you would like to be one of my special 10, I'd love to have you, and we communicate offline and we work together to work. I throw things your way. I request your feedback. You get inside track on some of the things we're going to be talking about, and you get to help me create content for our workshop and have a say in that. So if you want to be one of the special 10, shoot me a message and I will make sure that you get in as one of the special 10. Only 10 spots there though. So, all right, I have used all of my time for this morning, and I hope that this has been helpful for you. Please let me know if it has. Would you just message me and say, even if you're not signing up for the workshop, if you just enjoyed this time and you found it helpful, or if there's something you'd like me to talk about in the future as I do some more of this, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I care about, even if you're a director or if you're a parent, I'm here for you. Pageant's tough, right? Sometimes the organization doesn't treat women well. Sometimes the system is doing weird, funny things. Sometimes other girls aren't fun to compete with. I've had all of those experiences. And you know what? None of that begins to touch what I took away from it. The opportunity was so valuable, and I know woman after woman after woman who would say, yeah, it was hard, and yeah, it was lonely, and yeah, being a leader is tough, and being a businesswoman is hard, but it prepared me for other things that are hard in life, and I'm so glad I did it. There is no training ground like the pageant training ground, and that's why I'm here for you. So it was lovely to be with you today. I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I got to get to church. All right, take care.